I'd like to call the March 26th regular school board meeting. First item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the agenda? Moved by Nancy. Second. Navy. All in favor say aye. Aye. And all opposed say nay. We have an approved agenda. Next, we have public comment. The public comment is an opportunity for the public to comment on items. The speaker shall complete a registration card, state their name and address, and have up to 4 minutes, depending on the number of speakers, to speak on a topic. So today we have 2 individuals for public comment. So first we have Kevin Berglund.
Good evening, board. Good evening, Ms. Jenner. And I would like to talk about the upcoming problems that are occurring in the 622 school district and the upcoming referendum. Of course, the achievement gap in 622 has, although you continue to publicize that, continues to be a failing issue despite the tremendous amount of money being spent by the public and the taxpayers and the residents at the school district. Your superintendent has failed unsuccessfully to address that issue. Despite that, the superintendent is going to go for a $275 million referendum. To build a brand new high school was only $28 million. The superintendent's priorities and direction are wrong, and I think the board needs to address their superintendent and pull the superintendent back in the right direction. The superintendent is going in the wrong direction. To pass this big referendum, the superintendent is running, to the best of the knowledge, because she's disclosing very little, a big campaign which is going to suppress voters, the majority of the voters, 90% of the voters in the district, while push out the voters she believes that is going to support her initiative. And that is wrong, and that is a betrayal of the public trust. The superintendent should end this, and you should ask the superintendent to stop it and not be part of it. It is a betrayal of the public trust, and it hurts public education. The major part of the referendum, according to the own packet right here, for $275 million is for safe and secure schools. My understanding, listen to the superintendent, at the session that was just occurred, which was not on cable, because a lot of the important discussion in this district is not on cable and is not transparent, was it was going to go for safe and secure schools. In other words, for some whatever reason, how many schools do you have in this district, Ms. Chair? You were going to spend approximately $75 million to put in double doors so that shooters apparently cannot come in the school. Now, I think it would be a lot more economical to actually hire full-time police officers to sit by not just one door, but each of the doors to stop school shooters. My understanding, and you've obviously had, the superintendent has had a lot of information on this, and I don't know how many school shooters you've had in 622, but that these shooters are generally associated with the school, meaning they are students or former students. And I'm thinking, what is the problem that the teachers and classmates can't identify these school shooters? First of all, I didn't know it was a problem in 622. Second of all, if you're going to spend $275 million to put double doors vestibules in there, and I guess the students are to arrive at, be admitted to the school building at 8 and to arrive at 7:30, you're going to put them all into the vestibule. Doesn't that seem to be a perfect opportunity for a school shooter to have maximum damage? So I'm thinking if this board is going to ask the taxpayers to come with $275 million, again, a whole high school was only $28 million, you would think that what you would do is that you would use part of that $275 million and the credibility of this district actually to have better education, meaning have better educational assistance, work on the teacher issue if there's an issue there. To waste that kind of money in that kind of fashion seems like a neglect of the duty of the superintendent. And frankly, the problem is, I think the district has a hard, residents of this district, once they find out how this whole election has been rigged, and it's been rigged against the public, I think they're going to even have less trust in your superintendent. I think the credibility and trust issue in your superintendent is the biggest issue that this board eventually is going to have to deal with. And of course, after you pass this through whatever kind of maneuverings you are involved in, Ms. Chair, then you're going to have to someday come back and address the real issue of education, the failing education in this district. And how many times can you go to the well of the taxpayers' goodwill and support? Because the taxpayers, what they want is good education for their students. Parents want good education for the students, and they don't want fake PR and fake news. And one separate issue, with your permission, Ms. Chair, at that session that was not televised, there was talk about how even staff members, I'm thinking it's teachers in this district, feel that if they bring up public safety issues in schools, they will be retaliated by their higher-ups.
Okay,
and I think
Kevin,
that's another issue you need to address.
I'm sorry, but we have to cut you off for time, but
Okay.
thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts. And also, you indicated that you want a response, so
Yes.
I think somebody from the cabinet will reach out to you.
Yes, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
have a good one.
Thank you, Ms. Chair.
Next, we have Rory Sanders. And Rory, can you state your name and address? And then
Again, Rory Sanders, 3819 Goodwin Avenue North, Oakdale, Minnesota. Chair Yenner, rest of the board, Superintendent Osorio, Assistant Superintendent Miller, Cabinet, Kim, students. I just want to take a few minutes and just talk about some of the good things that are going on in this district. I know when it comes to the bond and the levy that we're attempting, I just got some really great news. We got endorsed by the Federation of Trades and Labor, which in all three of our communities rounds out to anywhere between 4,000 and 5,000 families and people that are laborers. So very happy about that. And other things that are going on in our district that I'm really proud of, and I know a lot of you know about it, is we also have another teacher that's made it to the final 32, I believe, for Teacher of the Year. And last year we had somebody make it all the way to the final 12. So there are a lot of great things going on in our district, and I know you know about it, but I just want to make sure the public knows about those good things. So thank you very much for giving me the time.
Thanks, Rory. We have one more for public comment, and it's Bob Zick. And Bob, can you please state your name and address, and then you have up to 4 minutes.
Sure. Good evening, Board. Good evening, Superintendent. I am Bob Zick, North St. Paul. And I'm here, I want to address your proposed $275 million referendum. And of course, I believe that referendum will be voted on at a manipulated off voter time. You know, the school districts have this dubious reputation for let's take and make these referendums, let's hold the vote at a time when we can only majority turn out the people that we can get on our list to support. let's have these referendums when everybody goes vote. So they're a true reflection of the community. Now, last fall, there was the referendum that passed. What did that come to? About 87 million total. That was 10 years. And so now we have this new proposal, a couple new schools, tear down a school, refurbish, whatever. I guess my first recommendation is on your list, one of the things you should request is better lighting in the custodian closets, so when you put kids in there to take their pictures to show how devastated they are in our learning environment, it plays better. You know, cut it out. You recycle these old pictures all the time, mass some students together. Oh, look how crowded we are. Look at how bad it is. Let's stick some in a closet here and put a desk in there. Cut it out. Now, you're billing this as security and safety. Most of these safety systems are reactive. And what do I mean about that? Well, we get some video pictures of the perpetrator, and then so we know who to go after. You know, when you're spending this kind of money, let's be proactive. Let's have live security guards. You can hire a lot of people for $275 million. When you have these students grouping up in the entryways and outside the buildings, what's a security camera going to do? You know, this request, students, you manipulate these students, and you start telling them how devastated they ought to be, how they're hindered by the shape and size and the age of these buildings. Has nothing to do with education. Education is the teachers. And, you know, so a few buildings are 50 years old. Let's talk about the maintenance on these buildings. Let's talk about how Chuck Weger, your state senator, took and pushed through legislation so you didn't have to go to the voters anymore for maintenance dollars. You could pass these referendums without a vote of the people. Well, I would like to request, under Freedom of Information, the amount of money that's spent on maintenance. I want to know how much came out of the general fund before you took and got this privilege to bond without voter approval, and you shifted maintenance dollars into salaries and benefits, and now people have to divvy up more and more money. I think there's a real problem with this $275 million that you're asking for people. And I know most of the people in North St. Paul live in houses that are a lot older than 50 years. Take my word for it.
But I have to call time, but
That's
thank you
fine.
again.
So I'm asking for some information here. I want you to go back. I want to see the maintenance records for 50 years of how much money and what was spent
So-
prior.
Christine can have somebody from the cabinet follow up with you.
I'm going to also, Mr. Zick, I'm going to have you also put in writing specifically what you're asking for, so we're clear what you
I will
want.
do that. I will
Perfect.
do that. We need some transparency down here.
Okay.
This isn't an open checkbook, Oakdale, Maplewood, North St. Paul.
Okay,
There's
thank you for taking the
accountability.
time to
Thank
come
you.
and share that. Okay. All right, next on our agenda, we have the consent agenda. Give me just a second. So the consent agenda consists of routine items that are acted on in a single motion. Board members have the option of pulling items off the consent agenda if they wish to discuss them individually. This evening's consent agenda includes A, minutes of February 23rd, 2019 board retreat, B, minutes of February 26, 2019 business meeting, C, minutes of February 26, 2019 closed session, D, routine personnel, E, bid awards, F, disbursements. So are there any items that anyone would like removed for discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'm looking for a motion and a second for approval. Moved by Ogier. Second by Anderson. All in favor say aye. Aye. And all opposed, say nay. So the consent agenda is approved. Thank you. Next, we have our report section, and we have our representatives from the high schools. Who wants to start? Okay, Haley Pedersen.
Okay. This past month, we have seen individuals from North basketball team have great success. 2018 graduates, Good News Capagial and Titus Dean, both participated in this year's NCAA March Madness tournament. Both of their teams, Kansas State and Liberty, have now been eliminated, but we are proud of their achievements. This year, DeJuan Carter had a great senior season, being a finalist for the Pioneer Press East Metro Boys Basketball Player of the Year and making the All-Metro third team. Swim and dive completed their season with participants at the state meet. Senior Nathan Huntley placed 18th in the 100 freestyle. Senior diver Jake Mudick placed 22nd, and Junior Tyson Sonic placed 17th. We are proud of our seniors for having a great last year. North held a college fair last week with over 100 schools represented. The wide variety ranged from 2-year, 4-year, and military programs. Students were able to interact with admissions counselors, learn about scholarships, and ask questions. DECA State was held earlier in March, and North students had great accomplishments. Overall, 12 students placed at the event. Anson Wateracha had great success, placing first in the Apparel and Accessories Marketing Series category, qualifying him to attend nationals. North's robotic team, known as the Bionic Polars, have been in the midst of their season. Their most recent competition in Duluth had the team ranked 23rd out of 60 teams, but they were eliminated in the quarterfinals. This program has only been at North in recent years, and it is great to see their success. 8 North artists were selected to participate in the Best 100 show. Students submitted artwork varying from photographs, ceramics, and drawings, the top 100 chosen from over 800 submissions. Jeremiah Beekbill won the Senior Portfolio Award for his drawing, and Junior Aisha Adiato won the Photograph Merit and Presidential Awards for her photograph.
Tartan, BPA, and DECA had extreme success and are moving forward to nationals. The DECA International Conference is from April 26 to May 1st in Orlando, Florida. 12 students are attending, which is more than Tartan DECA has had go in more than 10 years. 14 students advanced to finals and were top 12 in the state. The BPA National Conference is in Anaheim, California from May 2nd to May 5th. There are 8 students attending from Tartan BPA. Senior Kendra Karake is our Athena winner. Junior Lydia Otto was recognized at the Williams Arena for winning the Excel Award based on leadership, community service, and academics. Senior Reagan Kierzik was recognized as the Rotary Student of the Year. Relay is currently on track to hit the $2 million this year. We currently have raised over $50,000 and are working hard towards our goal of raising over $153,000. There are several fundraisers going on to help us stay on track for this large goal. A spaghetti dinner is being hosted by Cardinal Realty and is on April 26th. Last year it made nearly $6,000, and so Relay participants are working hard to make it even more this year. Incoming freshman open house and spring conferences will take place on April 18th. This is a great opportunity for incoming freshmen to see Tartan as well as current students to check in with their teachers. The Academic Awards ceremony hosted by NHS is on April 24th. This ceremony inducts new NHS members and celebrates students who have worked hard to maintain academic excellence. Juniors will be taking the ACT on April 2nd. Sophomores will be taking MCAs as well, and freshmen and seniors will have the day off. Students have been studying hard, and we know that they'll do great. Student council elections have started taking off. With the year coming to an end, many clubs have started looking ahead for their executive boards for next year. Spring sports as well are also starting with tryouts, just having ended for softball, baseball, and a few more. We can't wait to see what the season holds.
All right, thanks a lot, you guys. Any questions or comments?
I'm the school board rep for advisory, and we learned on Wednesday at our last meeting that all the students that are currently on that group are all migrating to college with the exception of one poor lone junior now will be a senior. So I'm just suggesting if you know of any students that and how you're upcoming that you mention advisory, because the group really cherishes the opinion of the students in so much of that work.
Anything else? Caleb?
I was just wondering, for the Relay for Life, is that open to the community, and what day is that going to be?
So yeah, it's open to the community. I think that our official ceremony is probably around 7, but the gates are open to the public until around 10, and it's on May 17th.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. I really appreciate your reports. I love that you guys hit sports and academics and robotics and other things, so thanks a lot. Okay, next on the agenda is Assistant Superintendent Troy Miller is, yep.
All right, good evening. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our Richardson principal, Jenna Peters. She is going to be highlighting some of the exciting things happening over at Richardson.
Hi, good evening. Thank you all for having me tonight. I'm excited to share a little bit about Richardson and all the work that we're doing over there. And so I'll just go ahead and get started. As you all are very much aware, we are undergoing construction right now at Richardson, and it is super exciting, the changes that we're seeing on a daily basis over there, and we cannot wait for the final product as we get great learning spaces for our kids and obviously updated entrances and those kinds of things. So we're super excited. But we know that we are building the Richardson we really want for our kids every single day, where kids are loved, where they're learning, and where we as the adults are working for our kids. And so with that, I want to talk a little bit about some of the work we're doing. And so at Richardson, number one, we want our kids to feel loved. And so we know that all learning starts with significant relationships. And we are really intentional about how we build relationships with kids, because we know that kids need to know that we love them and that they are trusted, so that we can push them. And so some of the things that we do, just simple little things on a daily basis that help our kids feel loved, greeting students at the doors, having lunches with students, following through when we say something and we do something and we follow through. We have penguin pride slips because we are the penguins, and so noticing and acknowledging the good things our kids are doing on a daily basis. Just listening to kids, getting on their level and listening to what they have to say. And then those small things like smiles and high fives and hugs and handshakes and fist bumps. And it's amazing to me when the adults are doing those things, not only how that builds trust with kids, but also our kids, it rubs off. If you ever come to visit Richardson, you're going to get smiles and hellos from our kids, and they're going to want to hug you in the hallways. That's just who they are, and it's pretty awesome. We also just, not only with the adults and the students, but also just among students, we want our kids to feel a sense of belonging at Richardson and to really feel a part of our community. And so we do a lot around student climate at Richardson. So things like all school meetings, where we have usually a theme of some sort. And so like one of our latest all school meetings, our theme was kindness. And it was great. We had a game, and we have greetings, and we have students leading some of the things at our all-school meetings. It's kind of like a pep fest at an elementary school. But one of the things I talked about was kindness and little things that kids could do. And what was funny about that is I mentioned some examples. You could greet, one way you can show kindness is just even going through the lunch line, thanking, Miss Lynn and Miss Lori for serving your food. And then I happened to mention, you see me outside every day. And so I'm always saying, hey, how you doing? Good morning. How are you? Even stopping and saying, well, hi, how are you, Mrs. Peters? So I mentioned that literally in like 5 seconds in front of our, 500 kids. The next morning, I bet I had 40 or 50 kids stopping, waiting for eye contact in the morning. How are you, Mrs. Peters, today? I'm so glad. Like, they're so cute. And still to this day, this was over a month ago, I had a little girl in the hallway stop today and wait till I made eye contact. Hi, how are you doing? I said. She went, I'm really good. How are you, Mrs. Peters? It's just awesome. They just so want to be kind. But we do things like new student circles, where I invite kids who are new to our building to come sit and circle with me so I can get to know them a little bit, and they can get to know each other and know that they're not alone. We have a student leadership group at Richardson who does a lot of service around our building and helping around our building as well as out in the community. We have pre-K and K helpers, so again, our older students helping our younger. Classroom buddies, similar deal. Classrooms pair up together. You can kind of see some of that in the pictures that I have here. All school events, one of our favorites is all school turkey bingo, where we play bingo over the PA and classes play together, so that's super fun. Of course, our family events, we are doing projects in our building, like for example, right before conferences, we had students talk about families. Part of our Alveus and Welcoming Schools curriculum is that we help kids understand that families can be many ways. And so you'll see throughout our hallways kids' projects about their families. And then we do student-led announcements. So we try to do a lot to really affirm our kids and help them feel like they belong at Richardson. Of course, all of that community and relationship, the goal is ultimately that we want our kids learning. And so at Richardson, we really feel like the social and emotional learning is just as important as the academics they're learning. They come to school to learn how to work with each other. And so we're teaching things like CARES, how to be cooperative, assertive, responsible. How do you show empathy and understand others' feelings, and then self-control. I mentioned our Ulvaeus and Welcoming Schools curriculum. If you come to Richardson on a Wednesday, you'll notice purple shirts, a lot of staff wearing purple shirts. That's our own staff's reminder to today, let's make sure we spend some time on things like bullying and getting along with others and those kinds of things. Our classrooms are engaging in community building circles, and so again, trying to build community with kids. Teaching kids how do we repair harm when harm's been done, mindfulness, and then really being cognizant of that we teach them model the behaviors we want to see from our kids. Last but not least, one of the focuses of our site improvement plan this year has been to build student-to-student talk. We want kids to be able to share their thinking with each other, and that starts by learning how to listen and talk with one another, and so it starts on that sort of social emotional place, and then we're carrying that into academics where kids can explain their thinking around math and how they're solving a problem, and explain their thinking about what they're thinking about a text and the evidence they're using to support that thinking. And just a little data to share. When I think about our academic instruction at Richardson and the work that we're doing in interventions, we're very excited about where we're going. This year, if you look at sort of the purple box in kindergarten, you're very well aware of the work that's being done in kindergarten and the phonics work. This year, at January at the benchmark testing where all of our kids were taking tests around early literacy skills, 63% of our kindergartners were at or above the winter benchmark. And what's exciting about that is that's up 34% from the fall. So our kindergartners are doing a great job. Our kindergarten teachers are doing an amazing job. In first grade, we are excited as well. These kids they had the kindergarten phonics last year, and they're continuing that work in first grade. And we are super excited when all of our first graders took a test called Decodable Words, which is a key early literacy skill. 85% of our first graders are at above the winter benchmark on that measure and lead the district, which we are super excited about. And nearly 2/3 of our first graders are already reading at the spring benchmark for fluency. So that's super exciting as well. I was also taking a look at our second, third, and fourth, and fifth grade data. In second, third, and fourth, and fifth grade, one of the measures we use is called a CBM. It's a fluency measure because we know that fluency has a lot to do with comprehension. When kids are able to read like they're talking, they're past being able to have to stop and figure words out, and so they can better understand the meaning behind the text. And so we were looking at kids in interventions in second grade, for example, who are getting a phonics intervention because they still have work to do with how words come together and vowel patterns and those kinds of things, or they're just not quite fluent yet, and so they're in a fluency intervention. So these are typically our kids who are our most struggling readers. So we have them in interventions, and for a second grader on a fluency measure, they should grow from fall to spring about 47 points. What that means is they're growing about 47 words more correct per minute. And when we looked at this group of kids who are in phonics and fluency interventions, so kids who are struggling the most in second grade, they should have grown about 23 or 24 points. And that group is averaging a 28-point growth from September to January. So they are outpacing. These are the very kids who normally don't make a year's growth because they're already behind. So we are super excited that they are on track and actually above track a little bit in how they're growing in their reading skills. And then you'll see a similar story in third, fourth, and fifth grade as well. Our kids who are our most struggling readers are really starting to grow, and that's super exciting, and that's taken a lot of hard work. So we're very excited about the learning that's happening at Richardson. You know, where kids are loved, where kids are learning, that all starts with the adults. And so we know at Richardson that we as the adults set the culture of our school, and we contribute to the climate of our school every day. We are what make up Richardson. And you can see a few photos of our staff learning together, which is an important priority in our staff. That is the adults. We're continuing to be on the cutting edge and learning so that we can give our best to our kids. Teaming together and even trying to make each other smile a little bit, because laughter is super important, because this is hard work we do every day. some of the things that we've heard about Richardson that I love to share with our staff. Last summer when I was interviewing some candidates for a kindergarten position we had, you know, I always like to ask the question in those interviews, why do you want to work at Richardson? I want to know that they've kind of done their homework. And the comment I had back, you know, I've just heard so many positive things there about the people there and how they love working there. I mentioned people, you know, as the adults, we model the behavior we want to see in kids. And so our teachers, myself, we're getting notes and all these great things from kids on a daily basis. And so I love this note I had from a kiddo this year. Thanks for helping teachers and kids. We appreciate your kind heart. And there's a penguin and for some reason a polar bear in the picture, which is great. You know, a district visitor took the time to comment to me that how she noticed that the adults at Richardson are so responsive to student needs, and that the care that we put into our kids shines through every time they come there. You know, when I ask our staff, why do you like working here? It's the people. We're like a big family. And so just lots of reminders. Our guest teachers are feeling supported. One of my favorites is in the bottom right corner there. This was actually last spring during MCA testing. And so kids were testing. We had temporary tables set up in this space. And one group had finished, and the next group was coming in. And one person, one little student, had written on the table for the next student that was going to come in. Didn't know who the student was going to be, but had just written on the table, hey, student, try your best on what you're doing. Calm yourself and start. Just so sweet. Like, we just have great kids, and I think that's because we have great adults working at Richardson. So while we are super excited about all the work that is happening at Richardson, the construction and the new spaces we have, they are much needed and we're so thrilled to have them. We know that the work we have going on inside our school is even more important. So today and every day we build at Richardson. So we are Richardson, and like we say there, Penguin Pride, growing strong.
Thank you, Ms. Peters. Anybody have, can you stay up just a couple
Yes.
minutes? Yep. Steve?
Hi. I actually live just across the alley from Richardson,
So you're seeing lots of fun stuff happening over there.
between your front door and Tower Park.
Yes.
I've also been fortunate to have 6 of my children go through Richardson, and the oldest now is almost 30. So I've seen a lot of changes at Richardson, and I've watched the culture change and adapt as the students have changed and adapted. And I think there's been a lot of really positive growth at Richardson. As I watched my children grow up and their friends grow up that they played with in grade school and then went to John Glenn and then went to North, I've seen a lot of changes. And I think for the most part, those have been really powerful, substantive, good changes at Richardson. But I also live across the alley from Richardson, and I can't wait till the construction is done.
Yeah, right.
because I think that it will create a whole new world of opportunities for the students that are following my kids going to Richardson. And I thank you every day for the work that you do. And like I said, I see it right out my back door all the time.
You have to come over. I can give you a little tour so you can see it evolving. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you, Jenna. I think what really speaks to me about your presentation that's a little different than others is that I really sense that Richardson takes care of the whole child. You blend or have that ability to blend those needs that are so hard sometimes to talk about with the academics. And of course the academics, which we're kind of accountable for. I'm thrilled with what you just presented. And I also think sitting behind your table at the staff initiative last week, just their gumption and just their thrill, and I thought that was really remarkable. But I think the big telltale sign is, when you go to a restaurant and you have those Native people come to that's always a real sign. Well, there's a teacher that lives in St. Paul, works in our school district, and said, by God, my kid's coming to Richardson next year. And the joy and the excitement she shared. And I wanted to ask, who's more excited? You or the child? But I just think that's really got to be a compliment to you and your leadership in the building. And I just want to thank you for the great things you've done.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you've got quite the Richardson alum up here
Yeah,
with our kids. But And Teresa already touched on this, but the thing that, one of the things that jumped out at me was really the social emotional part as well. I mean, like she said, we're accountable for the academics, but seeing the child is so much more. It's the whole. And, if you think about yourself, if you're in an uncomfortable temperature, I mean, we talked about it here, right? When the vents are blowing and it's cold, we're distracted. Just that part of it. And so if there's other things going on emotionally, socially that the kids have on their minds, that detracts from their learning. And so I think absolutely the work that you're doing on the whole child is fabulous, and appreciate all that you guys do.
I'm very fortunate. We have an amazing staff who care very much about kids, which is what it's all about.
Okay, thanks again, Ms. Peters. You deserve a lot of credit for building the culture at Richardson. We all appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, Nancy, you want to add something?
I just want to add one quick thing. I mean, if the community has any doubt about the school district and how we're doing, they should visit Richardson.
Come on over. It's a great place.
Or any of our schools, but I mean, Richardson would be a shining example of just all that we can do to make our future better, because these kids are our future. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, next we have Superintendent Osorio with facilities.
All right, Chair Yenner, Directors of the Board. I have a few more details to share with you tonight. Tonight I want to give you an update on some of the communications that we've been talking about, and I have a new video to share with you. As we discussed earlier tonight in our work session, I wanted to share some updates about communication that we've been working on. As you know, when our board voted to go forward with taking this information out to our community, we had just completed some pre-meetings with stakeholder groups of about 48 community meetings and different stakeholder group meetings, just to kind of test to see if people thought there was enough interest in moving forward with this plan, to see if we would want to take it out to the broader community. And we started with those meetings back in the fall. I kind of did a count up, and we've done about 90 meetings since the fall and through now, to just kind of check and see if people felt like there was enough interest in moving forward with this project, including the broad community meetings that we had back in December and January, just to kind of see if people had a lot of interest in moving forward with this big facilities plan. So right now we're out to see if the big community feels like they want to get behind this. So we started with our big press release back in February. We had our Channel 5 coverage that same night that we launched this whole communication effort. We made it on the evening news that night, and we had our Pioneer Press coverage, and we've had our lots of different newspaper coverage. And so last week we had a meeting where we brought together a lot of different stakeholders from our parent and community member groups to share our community fact sheets and information that we're going to be sharing at many different events throughout the spring season, just to make sure people have the facts. And one thing we've been saying in all of our meetings is we want to make sure that people make informed decisions about our referendum in May. People are going to have different opinions about whether they want to vote yes or vote no, but what we want to make sure is that people vote with make informed decisions about how they want to vote. So we have some different pieces of information that are coming out. And I think many of you, as you've seen, I've already shared out with you the fact sheet and the information sheet. I want to make sure that folks have access to our website. On our website, you'll be able to see not only the fact sheets and the information that's out there, you'll also be able to see various news coverage that's been out there regarding our referendum, stories that have come out in different media venues as well. And you'll also be able to see a couple different video presentations that are there. We've also, as emails and communication have come into us through our communications venue, or emails to me myself, or people that have asked us questions during our presentations at various venues, we've started posting frequently asked questions. So as people ask things, we've put answers to those and been posting them and updating them very regularly on our website as well. So I want to make sure you have a chance to check those out. As you remember, the main goal of all of this effort is safe and secure schools, including drop-off and pickup zones for parents and buses, to separate them in the way that we design our drop-off and pickup zones, innovative learning environments, and healthy environments. I do have a video that I'm going to share with you this evening. This video just debuted a couple of days ago. we had a chance to see this. This was produced by Vic Smith and his wife. They're North St. Paul residents.
Leaders in our buildings have found many different nooks and crannies in our environments to serve our students. And right now we have one of our Check and Connect people housed out of this office. She works with kids anywhere from 1 to 5 kids in here. You can see it houses some electrical pieces. This was not intended to be used as a space.
We don't have enough room for the office staff that we currently have. This is the electrical closet. What you can see there are a bunch of wires in this room. It runs our servers for the building. We use this room for small groups with individual students and support staff.
We have classrooms that are overcrowded. In some of our high school spaces, we have very crowded and densely populated hallways. So it's an issue of overcrowding, but also safety. We are looking to renovate our buildings with some modern furniture that allows for flexible seating so that students can have opportunities to sit in different furniture, different positions throughout the day so that they can work in small groups, large group, and independent work at the same time. We want to renovate and expand both of our high schools to minimize overcrowding and maximize learning opportunities for our students. At North High, we want to maintain all students on one campus and eliminate the transition between North High and the District Education Center in between class periods. We want a secure entrance that's got that double vestibule entrance that allows all students and visitors to be screened through the front office. Same thing at Tartan High School, the double vestibule entrance at the front door. We would expand both Skyview and John Glenn Middle School, and we would close Maplewood Middle School. On the property of Maplewood Middle School, we would build a brand new elementary school that would have safe entrance and safe traffic flow around it. Additionally, we would build a new elementary school on the site of Eagle Point, where we would take down the old Eagle Point building and build a brand new building that has larger capacity on that site as well. Additionally, we would be renovating the other elementary sites and ultimately reducing from a total of 9 elementary schools to 7 larger elementary schools, which would afford us operating efficiencies as well as energy efficiencies. We have known for quite some time that we're way overdue for investment in our facilities in District 622. The good news is the facilities bond referendum that's on the ballot for May 14th is only going to cost our average homeowner about $5 a month or $60 per year. Because we have old debt from the 90s being paid off now, we're able to keep our increase very low.
When I look at our schools, they are a representation of who we are as a community. We want safe schools, we want safe environments for our children, even if we don't have children within the school system.
So it's really a good investment that will save us money in the long run and keep our children safe.
Please take time to learn more and make an informed vote on May 14th.
All right, with that, let me see if I can close this out of here. I want to direct you again to our website. We have on that website a lot of information. We've got updated, hopefully we can jump right there, updated information with presentations. We've got a video. We've got different informational materials, voting information. We've got information school by school, what would happen at each site. And we have a frequently asked questions site as well. And we're updating that regularly as information comes across our desks whenever new questions come aboard. And so we'll keep updating that as they come along and just trying to continue our outreach. The list that you got earlier in our work study session is a list of upcoming presentations. Upcoming presentations. Is one of our microphones on? Anyway, upcoming presentations. As I've been telling all audiences I speak to, anyone who is interested in inviting me to speak at different audiences, I'm willing to go anywhere, anytime. to any audiences who are interested in hearing more about this information. So just continuing to keep that door open. is built into these projects right now. And like I said, if the economy were to shift, maybe costs would go down again, but it's hard to have a crystal ball too.
Well, you remember in our work study sessions and stuff, I always was very cautious in my support of a May date
You
as
were.
opposed
Yes,
to a
you were.
November date. But what finally convinced me to support the May date was, I guess, twofold. One is we talk about losing a year and a half, but that's also a year and a half out of the lives of those children that will be directly impacted by these changes. And as a parent, I see those years go by very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important. I mean, 11,000 kids will be directly impacted by this a year and a half sooner because
Mm-hmm.
if we can get the support from the public to do this next month or in May. And the other is with my union brothers and sisters and with prevailing wage, the opportunity to put those jobs to work and put those groceries on the table in our community, I think is something that we have an obligation to do as the largest employer and one of the largest consumers of resources in our community, to provide those opportunities for the construction workers and all those support services as quickly as we can, and to save $8 to $10 million in the process. I think we wouldn't be doing our fiscal due diligence if we did not go out in May as opposed to November.
And there are districts like, Minneapolis and St. Paul, they are their own bonding authority. They can build buildings and they can go out. We do need to go to our voters, and our voters have to decide if they want to support this or don't want to support this, and we'll find out on May 14th. We have to go out to our voters, and we, to be honest, haven't done that since the 90s, when we did the North High and Skyview Community School. But thankfully, because we have that old debt now coming off, we can go out to our voters for a very, very big project with a small increase to taxpayers because of the old debt coming off. But, voters are going to have to decide, do they want to support that or not? And that's really going to be about finding out whether they want to support that or not. Our job is to communicate what the issues are, communicate what the ask is, and see what the voters decide they want to do. Absolutely. Other comments, questions?
Christine, I just want to commend you too for your dedication to this. You're doing the hard thing. The easy thing would be to just, go along. But you've taken this on. You've been really clear in the pros and the cons of the whole enterprise, and I think your leadership has just been great. So, thanks.
Thank you. I will say this. I, as a parent, when I came to this district, I had the opportunity as a parent for my child to come through Skyview and Tartan. And Skyview being one of the newer buildings in this district, I was not aware of what our elementary schools looked like because Skyview is one of the newer buildings. And so, as a parent walking through Skyview every day, I didn't know what the rest of the elementary schools look like. And what I've been telling people is if you haven't been in the other elementary schools, you need to visit them. Because truly I didn't know until I started working here. And when I started walking around, the pictures that were taken in the electrical closet, the toilet, the teacher teaching next to a toilet, those were taken by me, not by a photographer. They were not staged. It was simply me walking around to school one day, and I can attest to that because I took them myself with my own iPhone. I was just visiting, walking through schools. They were not taken by anybody other than me. I was the one who took them. Because I started noticing, why are kids in this room? Why are we teaching in here? And the latest ones, and the special needs programming, the kids who are getting the kids who are in this medically fragile and special needs programming, getting diaper changes in a shower stall or in a classroom because we don't have a space for that is crazy to me. That's even what we do. The fact that we have students that attend Maplewood Middle School who can't, the nurse's office isn't wheelchair accessible. That's unbelievable to me in this day and age. You know what I mean? And the fact that at Webster Elementary, we have a reading classroom that's literally, they cover the toilet with a curtain so the kids don't know they're in a classroom sitting next to an open toilet, and that's where they do reading. And at Eagle Point, they're in an electrical closet doing behavior intervention classes, or they're in a basement next to a storage room doing doing math intervention. Those are all pictures I took myself walking around this district. They're not staged, and they're in all different schools. It's not even like those were taken at one site. They were all at different schools. And so, you know, I do think there's a lot of issues in our site, so we have to think about that.
I think the other thing too, well, first of all, back to the facilities bond. So Skyview and Northwood would have been the last time that we would have actually bonded for facilities money.
Right.
Right, and that would have been back like 94 or around, somewhere around there.
Right.
So we haven't done that. Buildings are 50 years old. Over time, whether it's your home or that, needs change. And I think that's the one thing that we maybe haven't touched on as much, is that just the demographics and the needs of our students have changed so much in that 50 years. It's necessitated these changes that we need to make to accommodate them. You know, kids who may not have been in our schools 50 years ago, they may have been educated elsewhere or not had that opportunity for education. Now they're having an opportunity they didn't have.
Right.
So
we provide a lot of different programming in our schools that we didn't used to offer some decades back. We didn't offer those kind of programmings. Right. Very true.
Yep, Ben.
The one thing I want to really call you out on is you're beyond transparent. You've been doing this kind of thing, standing up in front of different groups month after month after month, sometimes daily, sometimes twice a day, talking about this. And you've been doing this since September. September 4th is, I believe, when you started doing this.
This round, yes. Last year, don't forget, we tried to talk about a grade reconfiguration last year. That didn't go over very well. Yes, thank you.
People have the opportunity to come and ask you questions. You're wide open, totally welcome. Your staff is totally open to that. And beyond anything else, you keep mentioning that you have gone into these schools yourself. You're not driving by, you're not waving to the kids as they're getting on the bus. You're going into these schools. I've gone into these schools. People in this room have gone into these schools, and you've seen these spaces yourself, and they're deplorable. That is not how we should be educating our kids. So if you want to seriously consider this bond referendum, if this is something that's on your mind, if this is something that you're thinking about, and you don't have the facts, if you have not heard something that you're not totally sure about, if somebody has said something to you that you're not 100% certain on, you need to go get the facts. There's plenty of teachers that will talk to you about this. Christine will talk to you, Troy will talk to you, I will talk to you. Lots of people will talk to you, and they will invite you into their schools to see what they're facing. These are the children that are in our community that will be adults one day, and as a voter, you should think about this and be responsible enough to get your facts correct before you make any other decisions. Thanks.
I just want to add one more thing, and that is the decision to have it in May versus November. Another of the many reasons we did that was that, you know, as an employer, how many employees do we have?
About 1,700 employees.
1,700 employees, and the humane thing is to let them know what their future is, right? I mean, they told us they really would like to be able to plan, you know, for their families and their jobs, right? I mean, we talked about this. And so they encouraged us to have the vote in an, you know, in a kind of an intense period of time so that they could plan for the future. And as an employer with 1,700 employees, we listened to that. So
that's true. They did come very, very clearly to us and say, if you're going to go out and ask, let's do it sooner rather than later so that we're not hanging in limbo, not knowing where this district's going to go.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Thank you. The video is great. I've said this to the board before, but I'll say it again, that I go with my 3 kids to lots and lots of different schools, and I can compare the schools. I wouldn't change sending my kids to Richardson, whether it got renovated or not. But I can see that we're not keeping pace. If you go out to our neighbors, we go out to Woodbury, Stillwater, Matamidi, Roseville, St. Paul, any of the schools around, they've all already done these updates. We're just a little behind. So our students deserve this. Our staff deserves it. And I think it's courageous of Christine. I'm glad you're taking the lead on this. It's a lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of people to talk to, but I do think this is what our district needs, and I know that we're all together on this. So, okay. The next agenda item are action items from the business office. We have acknowledgement of contributions, and we have Caleb.
Minnesota Statute 123B.02 permits school boards to receive for the benefit of the district bequests, donations, or gifts for any proper purpose and apply the same to the purpose designated. In that behalf, the board may act as trustee of any trust created for the benefit of the district and for the benefit of pupils thereof. Therefore, the Director of Business Services recommends the following resolution. Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District Number 622 that the school board accept with appreciation the following contributions and permit their use as designated by the donors. And these are the following contributors. To the Elementary Leadership Council, $200 in gift cards was donated by Target in North St. Paul, and $500 was donated by the North St. Paul Rotary. Target in North St. Paul also donated 95 gingerbread houses to Richardson and Oakdale Elementary. Health Star Home Health donated $227.64 to the Cowan Negative Balance Meal Accounts. 3M Abrasive Systems Division donated $350 to the Carver Negative Balance Meal Accounts. Ann Floor and the North Bowler Club donated $7,502.36 to North Girls Athletics. And the following donated to Meals on Wheels. Teresa and Terry Auger, $100. The Knights of Columbus, $300. Dan Tatro, $213.46. Lisa Kemp, $97.02. Ronnie Dornfeld, $77.62. Wade Kretman, $727.72. Samwat Singh donated $25 to the Gladstone Senior Center. All Seasons Rental donated a cooler to the Harmony Ice Fishing event. Jill Standish donated winter hats to Richardson students. The Rotary Club donated dictionaries for all 622 elementary schools. And Charlie Christofferson donated $150 to the John Glenn Holiday Gifts Funds. Therefore, I recommend and move that the contributions with a total of $73,707.01 for the 2018-2019 fiscal year be approved.
Thank you, Caleb. I second that. By Caleb, second by OJ. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. So that motion carries. Thank you again, Caleb. All right, next we have approval of the 2019-2020 capital budget. We just reviewed this in the study session. Do we need somebody to say anything about it?
I can say a couple words about it. Yeah. In the absence of our business director, Randy, I'll just say a few words about this. It's just that time of year again where we prepare for the approval of our 2019 budget, and the first piece of that is just our capital allocation for the district. So you're going to get different portions of this to approve throughout the spring upcoming. And attached are the various building and district initial capital allocations. And the building and athletic allocations are based on the projected building enrollment that's being used by teaching and learning, also for staffing. So you'll see that the overall capital budget is decreasing a little bit based on some one-time projects that have been completed already. And I'm just going to let you take a look at all of those. If the building referendum passes, we'll also use some of those funds to pay off some of our capital facilities bonds as well. And I'm just going to recommend that the 2019 and 20 capital expenditure budget be approved as presented. You had a chance to go over all of these earlier in our work study session this evening.
Teresa?
I just want to say, if you have an opportunity to the public to meet with any of our legislators to really talk about the need to maintain the pre-K funding, which in this particular presentation is pulled out because it may not be renewed. So I just want to advocate for continuing that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to read this resolution. Resolution for the adoption of the 2019-2020 capital expenditures budget. Be resolved that the School Board of Independent School District number 622 approve and adopt the 2019-2020 capital expenditure budget as per the capital budget plan. So I need a motion and a second for that. Okay, moved. Moved by Hunt, second. Okay, second by Navy. All in favor say aye. Aye. And all opposed say nay. Okay, that resolution is approved. You hardly ever do that, Steve, so you just threw me. I could just think of Steve. Okay. Next, we have resolution appointing election judges for May 14th, 2019 special election.
I'll read that as
Christine?
well.
Okay.
So because Washington County, the city of North St. Paul, and the city of Maplewood are not having any local elections, and our referendum question is the only thing on the ballot, our district is required to appoint election judges for the precincts in these areas. So we have agreements with Washington and Ramsey counties in which they will provide the election judges, and District 622 will simply reimburse the counties. So I'm going to recommend that the resolution to appoint the election judges for the May 14, 2019 special election be approved as presented. And this will recall a roll call vote. You will require a roll call vote.
Well, this is a roll call vote,
Yep.
okay? So I will read the resolution, and then Kim, I believe you'll do the roll call vote, right? Yep. Motion and a second, then roll call. Okay. Resolution appointing election judges for the May 14th, 2019 school district special election. Be resolved by the School Board of Independent School District number 622, State of Minnesota, as follows. 1, the individuals specified on Exhibit A, each of whom is qualified to serve as an election judge, are hereby appointed as judges of election for the school district special election on May 14th, 2019, to act as such at the polling places and combined polling places listed on said exhibit. Number 2, the election judges shall act as clerks of election, count the ballots cast, and submit the results to the school board for canvass in the manner provided for other school district elections. Number 3, the school district clerk is hereby authorized to appoint additional election judges as needed to fill vacancies that may occur on or before election day. So I need a motion and a second. Moved by Navy.
Second.
Second by Livingston, and then we'll do the roll call.
We'll start with Ben Jarman.
Aye.
Becky Navy.
Aye.
Steve Hunt. Nancy Livingston.
Aye.
Caleb Anderson.
Aye.
Teresa Ogier.
Aye.
Michelle Yenner.
Aye. Okay, so that resolution is approved. And next we have combined polling places for Ramsey County. Should I read the resolution, or does somebody want to speak to that one?
Oh, sorry. As you recall, the laws in 2017 changed requiring school districts beginning in 2018 to approve a resolution each December naming the polling places that would be used in the event of a special election of the following year. Ramsey County provides the polling places for North St. Paul. Due to the construction timeline, Richardson will not be available as a polling site in our upcoming special election in May. This resolution changes the polling location for the voters that use the Richardson polling site to vote at the Cowan polling location. All voters from that location will be notified by our district. I recommend that the resolution to combine polling locations for Ramsey County be approved as presented. And this also requires a roll call vote.
Okay, questions? Caleb?
I
Oh, wait, I have to read the resolution too.
yeah, sorry.
But I do actually have a question. How will you notify them? So I feel like my parents, for example, might just go to Richardson not knowing that the polling place had changed.
Yeah, it'll be mailed out. We'll do a mailing, yes. Yes. And we legally have to do a mailing, but we'll also obviously be doing as much communication as we can through our, our parent community at Richardson. Any other points of contact, we'll certainly be sharing that verbally, but legally we have to do a mailing as well, and we will.
And I'm guessing like signs at Richardson directing them
Yes.
to Cowern. Yep.
Yeah, I had a question about that too. Is it dangerous there, or do they have to, in other words, what about the construction site makes it unavailable for a polling place?
Yeah, the classrooms are already so tightly consolidated because of the construction. Yeah, and the parking is really limited because of the construction traffic right now.
Okay.
It would just be really difficult to get in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, anything else on that, or I'll read the resolution. Okay. Resolution changing the location of a polling place for election held by the school district in 2019. Whereas on December 18, 2018, the district established polling places and combined polling places for school district elections held during the calendar year 2019. And whereas Richardson Elementary School was designated as a polling place to serve all territory and independent school district number 622 located in the city of North St. Paul, Precinct 4, Ramsey County, Minnesota, and whereas Richardson Elementary School is under construction and has become unavailable to serve as a polling place for the district's May 14, 2019 special election, and whereas Minnesota Statute Section 204B.16 authorizes the change in a polling place that was approved before December 31st, 2018, if the polling place is not available. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District Number 622, State of Minnesota, as follows. Number 1, the polling place for all territory and independent school district number 622, located in the city of North St. Paul, Precinct 4, Ramsey County, Minnesota, is hereby changed for elections held in 2019 from Richardson Elementary School to Cowern Elementary School, 2131 Margaret Street North, North St. Paul, Minnesota. Number 2, pursuant to Minnesota statutes section 204B.16 subdivision 1A, the district shall send a notice of change in this polling place location to each affected household with at least one registered voter in the precinct. The notice should be sent at least 25 days before the next election by non-forwardable mail stating the location of the new polling place. So we need a motion and a second, and then the roll call vote.
So moved.
Moved by Anderson, second by Ogier.
Once again, Ben Jarman.
Aye.
Becky Navy. Steve Hunt. Nancy Livingston. Caleb Anderson.
Aye.
Teresa Ogier. Michelle Yenner.
Aye. Okay, so that resolution is also approved. All right, next on the agenda, we have Human Resources and Julie Coffey.
So 2 meetings ago, I came and presented on the medical insurance renewal process, and we've gone through that process and are coming tonight with the recommendations of the insurance committee. We did receive 3 bids, 3 completed bids for our health insurance. The insurance committee did review those. We went out for a best and final offer from those 3 carriers. We received information back, and the insurance committee again looked at that information and is making the recommendation tonight to continue with Health Partners. We did have one other carrier that was slightly less expensive, 0.6%, but other factors, including long-term costs of that contract, led the insurance committee to continue the recommendation with Health Partners. In addition, the other piece that we're recommending tonight is the move. Generally, we would negotiate a 2-year health insurance contract. We're looking at a 3-year. The HITA process does allow us the ability to do that if we do get agreement from our largest employment group, which for us is our teachers. The teachers have agreed to that. We believe as a committee that getting into kind of an off-cycle year from every other district allows us to be a little bit more competitive with the carriers in terms of what they're offering us. And so we're also recommending a 3-year renewal. And then the major change that has come up is what the insurance committee also does every year is looks at our health insurance rates. And for the first time in over 6 years, we are recommending an increase in our health insurance rates, an overall increase of 10%. We've seen a significant increase in our claims this year. Just to give you an example, our claims are about 48,000 per month higher than they were at the same time last year, and that's a significant cost. And with our health insurance, because we're self-funded, we need to make sure that we're collecting enough money to pay all the claims that come in. And right now, that projection through the course of this year is showing that we're not going to have enough money next year if we don't increase our premiums. And so tonight, the insurance committee is recommending, again, 3 pieces: the renewal of health partners for 3 years until 2021, and then the increase in our health insurance rates by 10% effective July 1, and that would be for the 1920 school year.
Julie, I just really, first of all, want to thank you. You've been so thorough ever since you've come back or have come to us, and it's most appreciated. This was staggering to me with the double-digit percent increase, and while you've explained it thoroughly, my only question would be, when you lock yourself into a 3-year contract, what would happen if we're self-funded, if we, like, say that middle of the second year or the middle of the start of the third year, we don't have enough funds? Do we go to the big pot, the general fund to pull funds if we had to, or how would, just, I don't even know if you're capable of talking about that, but how do you?
Right. So the contract with Health Partners is for 3 years. Our budget rates are set yearly.
Oh, okay.
And so this budget rate is only for the 1920 school year. We'll come back next March and set the rate for 2021 and the following year for 2022, or 21-22. And so every year we'll look at very closely with our insurance broker, kind of where our claims are to date, what the picture is looking at, and we'll come back with another proposed insurance rate.
And one follow-up to that. So if there was any where we started to get low on funds, does a district have a recourse since it's already bargained? Would you take funds from general fund? How do you balance it?
Well, that's where we work at increasing the premium rates. So right now that is passed on to employees. And then it would be through the negotiation process that we would look at changing the district contribution towards those funds.
Okay. Thank you.
Julie, thanks again for the work of the insurance committee. It's very impressive. But relative to the rate increases and the claim increases, so what can, and you know, like you say, for 6 years we didn't have this, but is it, you know, what is the, in other words, is it one very extensive, you know, cancer claim, or what can throw it off? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a variety of factors. So I would say we do have a number of high-cost claims, and high-cost claims are anything that go above $175,000. So we have a number of those, but then even, you know, in this last month, it hasn't even been, as we've looked at the data, it hasn't even been our high-cost claims. It's just been an increase in claims overall. So more people going to the doctor, more procedures being done, more outpatient, inpatient thing. Just pharmacy is generally a big spend. So it's a variety of factors, not one specific case or claim that is causing this.
I mean, we've had a lot of press about the cost of prescription drugs, and you know, insulin has tripled in cost, for example. Does that play into this at all, or?
It does. I mean, part of what the insurance committee is looking at is the education that we provide to our employees going forward about what does it mean to be a good consumer of our healthcare plan. And pharmacy in particular, it's hard because you can go to different, you know, you can go to a pharmacy, you can go to Health Partners, you can go a number of places to get your prescription drugs, and there's a wide variety of kind of range of what those costs might be. As a member, though, we pay a copay or a certain amount, so it's hard to kind of see initially where those costs affect us. But again, that's an education piece we need to do to get people to understand the cost of healthcare and what are some lower cost alternatives. Even outside of pharmacy, just, you know, if I have an earache? Am I going to the ER or am I calling the care line, which is free, to get some advice from a registered nurse about what my next step might be, as opposed to the ER, which is, easily a couple $100s per visit. So a lot of education that needs to be done in that realm. But I would say too that, this fluctuation is not atypical. Everyone sees this, your claims kind of up and down. We've had low claims for a number of years, and now it's starting to rise again, but that is typical of how health insurance works and how a plan works.
Could you just remind me real quick of the makeup of the insurance committee? The members that participate on it?
Yep. So it's made up of members of all of our bargaining groups. So we have our teachers groups, we have a local 70 rep, we have a food service rep, a clerical rep, a paraprofessional, someone who represents our EAs, LPNs, our principal group, and then someone who represents our non-unit group as well, although that's not a bargain group. But so it's reflective of everyone in the district.
So the proposal being presented to us has been vetted by the major constituent groups of that healthcare plan, and it's actually coming from the committee.
Correct. The committee unanimously is recommending what we're bringing forward tonight.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good question. And I'm not sure I know off the top of my head. It varies per plan. So each plan we have has a number of employees on, and then I don't want to guess because it'll be way off. Yeah, yep, absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Julie. So I'm going to read the resolution. Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District Number 622 that the district approve the health insurance bid for from Health Partners for the period July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022, and approve an overall 10% increase in the budget rates for health insurance for the period July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Looking for a motion in a second. Moved by Hunt, second by Ogier. All in favor say aye. Aye. And all opposed say nay. So that resolution is approved. Thanks again, Julie. Next, we have Superintendent Osorio, and we're looking at these policy revisions. I believe this is our second formal reading of them.
Yes, so the policies presented tonight for the proposed revision were first shared with you at the February 12th work session and then read formally at the February 26th business meeting. We have not had any additional revisions since that last formal reading, so I'm just going to read to you the policy numbers and the titles that go with them. I won't formally read additional changes since we have no longer any additional changes since last time, but if you have any questions, you can certainly ask me about them. The 9 policies that I'm recommending that we propose to be revised as presented are as follows. E014, graduation requirements. E057, disposition of obsolete equipment and materials. E089, assessment of student achievement. E090, testing accommodations, modifications, and exemptions for IEPs, Section 504 plans, and LEP plans. E093, school district testing plan and procedure. EM020.28, School District System Accountability, EM020.29, Instructional Curriculum, EM020.30, Curriculum Development, and EM020.33, School District Curriculum and Instruction Goals.
Okay. I should have just stopped you from reading it because I think I have to.
Oh, you probably have to read it in your resolution anyway. That's okay. I'm recommending it to you.
Okay, great. So any questions or comments about these? Yep, Steve.
Don't you think we could take the time to go through and review them all word by word and
If
line
you
by
prefer,
line?
I'm completely willing to do
All the original
that.
documents and then all the meetings with the revisions.
After the hours we've already spent doing it, we could certainly go over it again. I'm open to that.
Yes, so this is, we reviewed it in study session, we had a formal reading in the board meeting, and now second formal reading, so we're looking for approval here. So, be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 622 hereby revises the following policies. E014, graduation requirements. E057, disposition of obsolete equipment and materials. E089, assessment of student achievement. E090, testing accommodations, modifications, and exemptions for IEPs, Section 504 plans, and LEP students. E093, school district testing plan and procedures. EM020.28, school district system accountability. EM020.29, instructional curriculum. EM020.30, curriculum development. EM020.33, school district curriculum and instruction goals. So I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Anderson,
Second?
second by Livingston. All in favor say aye. Aye. And all opposed say nay. So those policy revisions are approved. Okay. Next, we have the school board section, and we have to set a special meeting. So Randy's requested the addition of a brief special meeting on April 9th, 2019, prior to the start of the afternoon's work session for the purpose of proposing a bus purchase contract and security camera purchase. So that a special meeting be held on April 9th, 2019 in the boardroom with the following agenda items: bus purchase contract and security camera purchase. Need a motion in a second.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Christine, do you know what the urgency is to have it then versus 2 weeks later?
It is. In fact, actually, he was hoping to have it ready for tonight's meeting, but some of the purchase information wasn't able to be ready in time for tonight's meeting. And by waiting even longer is going to risk it not being ready, them being purchased in time for the start of school. And since we're already going to be here anyway for a work session that night, he really felt it was best if we could do the special meeting that night in order to get that purchased in time for them to be here in time for school to start. Thank you.
Great. So I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Ogier. Second by Navy. All in favor say aye. Aye. And all opposed say nay. So we have set the special meeting. Next, we have to set a time, agenda, and location for the April 9th, 2019 work study session. But we need to set the time, location, and agenda. So that the April 9th, 2019 work study session begin immediately following the adjournment of the April 9th, 2019 special meeting and take place in conference room 202 of the District 622 Education Center and contain the following agenda items. Number 1, superintendent check-in, including year-round schools and facilities. Number 2, review of summer long-term facilities maintenance projects and budgets. Number 3, NSBA update. And number 4, advisory committee term. So again, I need a motion in a second.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
I know we just set the special meeting. We didn't set the time. So do we, it just says the afternoon. I'm assuming 4:30, but would we like to say following the 4:30 special meeting, just to be concise? If I could make that a friendly amendment? I so move that amendment. So move that addition.
You, Kim, so.
I'm suggesting that we add to the.
Yeah,
motion.
4:30.
So that way, you're just going to read the motion saying that the April 9th work study session begins immediately following the adjournment of the 4:30 April 9th special meeting.
Okay, so do I need to read this again, but include that? No, okay. So I need a motion in a second.
I made that motion.
Okay. Moved by Ogier, second by Anderson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed say nay. So that meeting is also set. Okay, next set closed session. Administration is proposing to set a closed session for continued contract negotiation discussions, so that a closed session take place immediately following the adjournment of the April 23rd, 2014 business meeting for the purpose of discussing contract negotiations. Okay, I need a motion in a second.
I want to ask another clarifying question.
Go for it.
Julie, do you want this meeting intended to be prior to the bond referendum?
I don't know that it matters either way.
I'm just thinking any extra time that we're distracted from working on that endeavor. I just wanted to ask a question.
If I could just add, I mean, negotiations are starting, and so they really are not running on any alignment with the bond or not with the bond. They're already going and they're underway, or they're getting started, so it's just about keeping you in the loop on what's happening. But if as a board you prefer to wait for your next connection and update to be after that, it's certainly a possibility.
I just threw it out there.
They're not really running on any kind of connected timelines. They're totally different activities, but because we've already gotten an intent to negotiate and we're already beginning the process, it's just more about how soon you want to have your next update, I suppose. And we may not even need to have that meeting. In fact, we kind of have it as a placeholder with the idea that we would cancel it if we don't need it.
Oh, okay.
But we actually may not even need to have it, so it may be that it ends up being canceled anyway. It's more of a placeholder in case something at that point needs to be talked about before that time, so. But, yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, by OJ, was it? Second by Navy. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Okay, so that is also set. So we set 3, right? Yeah, okay. Next on the agenda is board communications. Teresa, do you want to start?
I shared all mine at the study session, thank you.
Okay,
I have nothing tonight.
okay.
I will pass, thank you.
Steve?
I took a visit to Gladstone recently, and I know I talked about this before, but we have new people in the audience, so I thought I'd share this drawing that I made earlier, if I can find it. So, no, I can't. So Gladstone is a building in our district, and it is in the shape of a horseshoe. You can see there. And there are 2 things that really go on there. One is early child education, and the other thing is adult enrichment. So if you look at my handy map here, you've got this wing right here. Is it this way? I'm trying to look at the TV. So this wing right here is all the early childhood preschool. It's a wing of the building. And then over on this side is adult enrichment, senior classes, the kind of community classes that you see in the catalog. And in the middle, there's an office space, and then there's a gym on the back. The really cool thing, and you would think that our district is just, a K-12, and that's how schools run, and you just go your kindergarten all the way through high school, and that's it. No. Our district is a social service for many things, and there's really no K-12 in this building at all. There's preschool, early childhood, and there is adult enrichment and senior classes. And these guys at this building, Cheryl and Tracy, they even go so far as to take the 2 sides and combine them, and they have classes together. So you'll see seniors taking the same class as preschool kids. In particular, there was one baking class where the seniors would help preschool kids bake bread, which is really, it's the whole story of life right there in this building. So thank you for letting me share another wonder of 622.
Thank you, Ben. All right. For future board meeting dates, the three we just set, the April 9th, 2019 special meeting, 4:30 in the boardroom, April 9th, 2019 work study session, room 202, immediately following the adjournment of the April 9th special meeting with an approximate start time of 4:40. And then April 23rd, 2019 business meeting at 6 PM in the boardroom. Okay, and with that, I'm looking for a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Livingston. Second by Jarman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Did I do that? Meeting is adjourned.